valuable physical education. Today, in the second part of the interview with our student teacher here, Miss Clarissa, she runs us through her first day of student teaching. But unlike some of us who are physical educators or maybe you're in school still, she had to go at it on Zoom. So she tells us about her first day, and then we hear a little bit more about what she wants to do as a physical education teacher moving forward. And we hear about how Kevin and I have built some relationships and we kind of pass on some of that knowledge. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
I'm curious because I can remember like it was yesterday. I'm sure Coach Miles could too. What was it like when you walked in your first day, Zoom, boom, like what'd they have you do? What can you walk us through the day if you don't mind? Because I just find that fascinating for a student teacher doing Zoom
First day, yeah.
first day. So can you walk us through?
Yeah, so on Mondays they do like the mile walk, or they do like the school's broadcast and then the mile. And so the first class I logged in and I had talked to the cooperating teacher like once before, like we zoomed once before, and just seeing all these little faces, and I was kind of nervous because you miss that interaction and that, like, that presence that I'm there and that I'm student teaching. So it was kind of like, this is Miss Standafer, and she's gonna be a student teacher for us. And the kids were just like, huh, like what? Like, okay, like it's just another face on the screen. And so I feel like it didn't really make an impression. I like introduced myself, gave my little blurb about who I am, what I do. I played volleyball. I'm excited to like work with them. And I think it was after the first week of them seeing my face and then me talking to them more that I feel more comfortable. And I think they feel more comfortable with me, and they actually listen. And I leave little comments on their assignment, so I try and like make more of like a personal connection with them, like we said earlier, and like getting to know them a little more. So I'm trying harder because it is hard to do it virtually, but I'm trying a lot more to like reach out to them.
Well, I'll tell you, that goes a long ways. I really mean it. Who doesn't like to get a positive feedback, and you're giving positive feedback? Another thing we did on our podcast a while ago, and you got to talk to your teacher and principal about this, but one advice I give you, take it or leave it, start emailing their parents and tell them how great their kid is. And you have to obviously seek the permission from
Mm-hmm.
the classroom, mainstream teacher. Then you have to also run it by the principal. They may say no, but every principal I've worked for, and I've worked for like 4 or 5 now, they love it. And then like you might even have to write it from your teacher's email and just say, hi, this is, Coach Clarissa, by the way. But whatever, I'm telling you, when a parent, like, how often do parents get positive emails? Like,
Yeah.
not very often. Sadly, not very often. And
Mhm.
when they usually hear from a teacher, it's sadly like probably negative. And then how often do they hear from a PE teacher? To be honest, likely not.
Yeah.
You start doing that, I'm telling you. And I always just would copy. I do it 5 days a week. I do it 5 days a
Mhm.
week. I pick students. I write a positive email and I CC my boss in it. And I CC their, since I'm elementary, I CC their homeroom teacher. And
Mhm.
it allows the community to know who you are. It's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
because they'll remember that. And so it's up to you. You're already doing it with little positive things, but I can't stress enough how important it is to build a community. And I'm in the same boat as you. I'm at a new school like you. I'm not a student
Mhm.
teacher, but it's my first year at this school, and we're kind of in the trenches
Okay.
together doing this. So
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna definitely take a note because I do like to make like relationships with people and like, earn their trust. And I feel like with students, especially, like if you have more of a relationship, they're more willing to engage in your activity or like participate or um yeah. So that's very important for me, is to establish a good foundation and a good relationship.
Yeah, and parents are definitely key. I mean, I'm a parent now. I've gotten a few positive emails lately from teachers, and nothing feels better than seeing that. And then I just know, at least like at the charter school I've been at for uh, too long to say now. I don't know, 11. I think my 11th year. They they really push like connecting with parents from all the teachers, almost, to a point where you're like, okay, I'll connect with them. But I think it's definitely something that a lot of schools are pushing for people to do. So it's good practice. I mean, my first school, my student teacher, they never said anything really about that. So I would have, loved to have that then. Um, Going forward, I guess when you do get a chance to get out and teach outside, what are you looking forward to teaching the most in person?
Um, I haven't really thought about that part. I think more of like what I have lacked or what I am lacking from
Okay.
virtual. So like the behavioral management part is something that I am maybe a little nervous about because it's different from being virtual. You can't really tell them what to do, I guess. They're gonna shut off their camera or, shut off, like mute themselves and
Yeah, you can't mute
um
them. It's hard.
yeah. Um, so I guess it's like a challenge, so I'm excited, nervous about that part, but definitely like you said earlier, taking the approach of like thinking outside of the box and not just thinking as of PE as like sports based, but thinking of it as like health and nutrition or learning about the body, learning about so many other things that I feel like we overlook in PE, and that's what I'm trying to create with my lessons right now. Learning, like some of the students want to learn about the history of sports. Like, do we ever really do that in PE? I don't know. Learning about, the rules, but like in depth or different athletes. And I think there's so much more that I think I can do because of this and like bring it out onto, the blacktop or the field. And so that part I'm excited about.
Yeah, I love hearing that because those are things I've tried to incorporate throughout my years of teaching, and I really wish they would make physical education more of an all-encompassing class with those things included. They
Mhm.
kind of have a separate set of health standards that basically just get ignored, at least in California for the most part. They've tried to make a little bit more of a push, but um, in middle school especially, it mostly just gets laid on the PE teacher to do it. Some schools, if you're lucky, the science teacher might step up and do some of it, but that hasn't been my experience. And when I've gone to like capered before, it's all these PE teachers trying to figure out like, okay, I have to teach all these new health things that they're telling me I got to do. How do I make it happen? So if you're already trying to incorporate those things on purpose, then it works. And I've definitely done some sports history when you go through like a lesson on basketball, and I think I think it's something that they enjoy, and this is a cool time to kind of incorporate that and fit it in. So
Mhm.
yeah, you'll be able to kind of have some nice building blocks going into that. But that's a great answer.
Yeah, well, Coach
Definitely.
Clarissa, one thing I want to reiterate with you too is I heard you say you're like, well, I'm not getting this out of the Zoom, which I totally respect. And I get same with me. Like with my students, I don't get to like run a lap with them and show that I'm really
Mhm.
fast right now because I'm at Zoom. Totally get that.
Yeah.
However, one thing that you and I have going, actually, the three of us have going for us, when you get out there in the field, I can assure you this, you've been doing sports longer than these kids have been alive. And
Mhm.
you're also an NCAA athlete. That's going to be huge for you. Like we were NCAA athletes. Kids love that. You don't need to brag about it, but when it gets brought up, kids love sports and admire that. And then another thing is your foundation is great. We didn't have to say it. You talked about relationships. If you build relationships with these kids, they'll run through a brick wall for you. Just like
Mhm.
Coach Chris at Whittier, if he built a good relationship with you, like you're going to do anything for Coach Chris. And
Definitely.
so I think if you just keep building these relationships, you're going to be yay okay. And then it was also music to my ears to hear how academic you are about like, hey, I want to incorporate teaching them about the athletes, the rules. And one thing is, if you build relationships and build a community and your principal and coworkers respect you, one thing that's really cool about PE is there's a huge opportunity to kind of teach whatever you want within the standards. So,
Mhm.
and most of the time, if you do a really good job, no one's going to get upset with you because you're organized and you're building relationships. And so
Mhm.
I think you're going to do great. But, one thing
Okay, I think we had some great, valuable information in there for physical education teachers, for student teachers, and just for us to step out of our own little bubble sometimes and realize, there are people going through some kind of very different things. Um, you know, you go through your education program being prepared to be in person with students and being able to have that, relationship building with the person right in front of you. And, you step into this realm where you're on the computer and it's just completely different. So it was really cool to hear how she's dealing with that, how she's looking at it going forward. And again, just the value of being able to have this, experience in your back pocket as you go out and you explore for jobs. You're not just somebody who, went through student teaching the typical way. You're able to build and have some different things in your back pocket. So we can kind of continue with this conversation tomorrow, some similar items, but we look forward to bringing that to you. I want to thank our sponsor, One Stone Apparel. They do great physical education clothes. They made us this great polo for valuable coaching, and they do awesome vocabulary tees, perfect for physical education. They got great words on the back. You can customize them. Great artwork, easy to work with. Dave at One Stone Apparel. Check them out, onestoneapparel.com.